Hey class, welcome to another installment of Help! Map analyses are difficult. In this one, we are going to be looking at the European colonization of sub-Sahara Africa. A map that looks a little bit like this. But I think when you turn it on, there are... I tell you what. I'm just going to go ahead and reopen it so that we get the original... What will it look like when you click on it? And when I clicked on it before, it gave me a different style than the previous maps. You might be like, wow, this looks so modern and fresh. And it is a little bit different. But if you have found comfort in the old style, you can click up here on Open in Map Viewer Classic mode, which I'm going to go ahead and do. I just feel more comfortable with this one. Plus, I know where all the buttons are. So when you open your map, it's going to look like this. It's going to be featuring this area, sub-Saharan Africa. The first question, once you read it, it's going to ask you this particular question. What was the first European settler colony in sub-Saharan Africa established in an area that was already inhabited? Let me tell you right now that each of those parts of that sentence are important for finding out the right answer here. Because there is a first European settler, there is a first European colony in sub-Saharan Africa, there was a first European settler colony in sub-Saharan Africa, and there were colonies that were in areas that were not already inhabited. So what I'm going to recommend you do is you come over here to the early European presence, you click on this button, and this will show you, yes, all these little dots are sites of early European colonies, and this is the master list down below. So what I would do is I would organize this by year and have sorting into ascending. So the very first colony was called Gorée by Portugal. You can click on it and it will show you it's somewhere around here. Oh, or somewhere up here. Let's see it. So is this the right answer? Gorée. Oh, well, no, it was not inhabited. So, all right. That means we need to go back and look to see what was the first inhabited area. It was this one right here, Elmina, which was here in modern-day Ghana. But was this part, as the question says, a settler colony? If you go back above and read, it will define for you what a settler colony is, and would say that the trade colonies did not bring settlers. The trade colonies were largely established a giant fort so that they could have ships come in, gather up some materials, and bring it back home. So next, we're going to be looking at the purpose, and it's the agricultural colonies that brought settlers to the colony. So we are looking for the first, yes, inhabited area in an agricultural region. That will give us the right answer. Here's another yes, but this is trade. Yes, trade. Yes, trade. So keep on looking because you want it to be agricultural. Question number 2. Question number 2 tells us to turn off the early European presence. Ba-bing. I'm going to close off this as well. And this is talking about gold, and wants us to turn on the gold mine layer, which I will do here. And this question says, during European colonial times, one coastal colony was referred to as the Gold Coast because of its numerous, easily accessible gold mines. That former colony is now which modern nation? So there's a couple of hints there. Gold Coast. Something on the coastline that had a lot of gold mines. Gold mines are going to be marked by these red dots. So you might look and say, wow, the most gold mines are found here in this Zimbabwe. But is this a coast? No. You might go down further and say, look at South Africa. Look at all of these gold mines. South Africa borders an ocean. But are these gold mines on the coast? No, these are inland, a few hundred miles. So you'll want to look carefully at the map and find out where is there a cluster of gold mines that are on the coast, because that colony will give you the right answer. Moving down to question number 3. It says to turn off the gold mine and the sub-Saharan Africa tabs, bing and boom. And it wants us to turn on Africa 1936 and Africa Imports 1996. So I started by turning on Africa Imports 1996 and showing you this map so we can see which countries are the primary nations that these countries import from. Yes. So Ivory Coast imports from France. Niger imports from France as of 1996. Now, if I turn this one off, close this, and go to Africa 1936, we will get a similar map. Here we have French West Africa, a country that no longer exists. We have French Equatorial Africa, a country no longer exists. But we also see where the imports come from. Again, France. So what you're going to want to do here is, if you turn on both of them, you'll see that the 1996 option adds some additional country borders. So that will matter as you look at this question. It's a question about imports. Which of these statements about imports in sub-Saharan Africa in 1996 is true? Now, I've run into issues in the past where I've spent time on each of the options and then I've run out of time at the end. So I will not do that. Instead, I will say that there is one better answer than the rest, that some of these answers you can immediately rule out. So the best way to doing that, I think, is by reading the question and figuring out exactly what it's asking. It might mean to turn off one or the other of these tags as you begin comparing information. For instance, the first question says, France was the primary import partner of every French colony in the region in 1996. So what we need to do is find out which are the French colonies. So we can turn off the 1936 to find out this was a French colony, this was a French colony, this was a French colony, this was a French colony. There's a smaller French colony over here, Somaliland. And then, since this is the primary import partner, France, then when we turn on the imports 1996, we're going to ask, do the colors change? For the most part, no. In fact, the only area that it changes is right here in this area called British Cameroons. That's the only area that turns from another color to green, and that all green areas remained green. So you'll want to try each of these tabs, or each of these options, to find out which one is most true. It now says to turn off Africa 36 and 96 options, and for this one we're going to turn on what are called the primary sector workers. So primary sectors are going to be agricultural, fossil fuels, precious metals and gems, and rare earth elements. Primary sectors are, as is defined up here, are raw materials from the earth produced through activities such as agricultural, logging, and mining, which can be exported to other nations and turned into other value-added products. So berries can be turned into jams, wood turned into furniture. So wood is an example of a primary sector good. So this question asks us to use the data from these 4 layers to answer this following question: which of these statements about primary sector exports in sub-Saharan Africa is true? So again, all 4 of these are primary sector. So agriculture. So we can turn off the other 3 and look just at agriculture. So we can see that some areas have very high agricultural exports, so the darker the red. So this country here, Malawi, has very high agricultural exports. This country here, Congo, does not. Now, if you want to look at more than one of these options, you can turn these on and then click on a country, and then it will go through and show you, by clicking on this arrow, that this has very low fossil fuels, very low agriculture, very high rare earth elements and other ores, and very low precious metals. So using that data, run through each of these 4 options and find the one that is true. Question number 5. I ran out of time, I think. Or I'm getting close. All right. Question number 5. So using those same things, which of these countries is the least dependent upon primary sector exports? In other words, find these 4 countries, Ethiopia, Tanzania, South Africa, and Nigeria. Look through each of the options and find out which one has the lowest primary sector goods. So which one says very low or low the most times? That will be your right answer.